So guys are not going to draft Kyler Murray per rumor. Now, this article was by CBS Sports. Now, according to somebody inside the Arizona Cardinals organization, that they are not drafting Kyler Murray. Now, the reason why the whole Kyler Murray idea was even brought up was because it was heavily pushed by ownership because the Arizona Cardinals are having a hard time selling tickets. And it's no surprise that the Arizona Cardinals are having a hard time selling tickets because they freaking suck and they haven't been anything since freaking let's see 20 freaking 15. So ownership was pushing for the Arizona Cardinals, I guess front office or executives to draft Kyler Murray because maybe drafting Kyler Murray, former Heisman Trophy winner, heavy high profile caliber player would sell tickets and kind of similar to what Cleveland was aiming for with Johnny Manziel. I believe that personally. I believe that the Cleveland Browns only drafted Johnny Manziel because Johnny Manziel had a lot of hype and fame around his name and whatnot, the money signal, Heisman Trophy candidate, or whatever. So I believe the Cleveland Browns drafted Johnny Manziel to sell tickets, which they did because when Johnny Manziel first debuted against the Bengals, that was one of the highest rated games of that week. So the Arizona Cardinals, I don't know if this is smoke screen or whatnot, but it seems believable. It seems understandable for those of you guys who are now watching this. The Arizona Cardinals were only into drafting Kyler Murray to sell tickets. So it was basically just a big propaganda or whatnot. They only wanted him for the business aspect of it. And it makes this could either here's what this means as far as the NFL draft. And let me break this down. So here's what can happen. Either one, this is a smoke screen, right? Either one, this is a smoke screen. They're trying to get a team to trade up for that number one overall pick so they can acquire more picks. You know what I'm saying? Maybe teams aren't really tripping no more for the Arizona Cardinals. Maybe a team's trying to trade up for Nick Bosa. Or the more reliable thing is teams are now more eager to trade for that number three overall pick for the New York Jets. Now, the New York Jets have been looking to trade down ever since the NFL Combine. The New York Jets general manager at the NFL Combine said they were entertaining the possibility. It's a realistic possibility of them trading down in the NFL draft. And then I believe last Friday it was a report came out saying the New York Jets are heavily looking to trade down in the NFL draft, trading away that number three overall pick. Now, if you're the New York Jets, you're rubbing your hand like Birdman, like these, because now you can potentially finesse a team out of two first round picks. And the team I'm talking about is the New York Giants. Now, look, the New York Giants have been linked to taking Dwayne Haskins with the sixth overall pick for some time now. And then Haskins draft stock was dropping this and that. I think that's bullcrap. You have to be a little bit slow to think that Dwayne Haskins draft stock was dropping at this point in the draft because listen, Dwayne Haskins is clearly the second best quarterback in this draft class, the second best passer, and you have to think to yourself, would you take would you take Drew Lock or Daniel Jones over Dwayne Haskins? I don't think so. So a lot of teams create these smoke screens or whatnot of certain prospects falling and stuff like that. But reality, they're just trying to bait other teams in to trading for them or trading up for them. You get what I'm saying? So the New York Jets, number three, is the ideal pick for the New York Giants, right? The New York Giants are looking for a successor. They're looking for somebody. Thanks for the donation, man. Thank you for the freaking donation. Thank you. Thank you, MMD TV, No More Defeats Nation. Y'all make sure to check him out. But look, the number three overall pick, they're looking to trade now. New York Giants have all the assets. They have the sixth overall pick and they have the 17th overall pick, which they got for the Cleveland Browns. Now, that would be an ideal package. Plus, the New York Jets, they're only looking to trade down. I guess they want to take an offensive lineman in this draft, or they're looking to trade for elite interior offensive lineman from another team or whatnot. But I believe they'll probably trade down At number 6, they will be ahead of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So maybe they take a Jawan Taylor. I don't necessarily know what the New York Jets offensive line is looking off the top of my head, but maybe they take a guy like Jawan Taylor, our offensive tackle, who is regarded as the best offensive tackle in this draft. They take him at number 6, and he had the 17th overall pick. And plus, the New York Giants, can get them a second round pick, which is also a big reason why the New York Jets are trading now, because they don't have a lot of draft picks and they want to get a second round pick. So the New York Giants ideally have all the assets to trade up, right? And another thing, right? The Oakland Raiders. Now the Oakland Raiders have been interested in Kyler Murray, right? But John Gruden has said and Mike Mayock has said that Derek Carr, this and that, blah blah blah. But a guy like Kyler Murray, right? A guy like Kyler Murray. Do you imagine John Gruden being the offensive guru that he is, right? Imagine all of the fun, all of the things that he could do with a quarterback like Kyler Murray, right? So here's what happens. That opens up the idea for a Derek Carr trade. Now, there's a lot of franchises right now who would jump out their seats right now to trade for a quarterback like Derek Carr. Despite the season that he had last year, he still had a solid season. I believe he had 20 touchdowns, only 11 interceptions. So many teams right now would trade for a guy like Derek Carr, right? So it opens up opportunity for the Oakland Raiders to draft Kyler Murray and still get an additional first round pick, right? And now this is hypothetically saying that a team doesn't trade with the New York Jets for the number 3 overall pick, or the team that trades up for the number 3 overall pick, ideal the Buffalo Bills or whatnot, trade up and try to get Quentin Williams. So it's a lot of things that could be going on with this whole Kyler Murray thing. Kyler Murray can change this whole course of this year's NFL draft. I know it's just one player, but that's just the kind of impact that Kyler Murray has. Now, me personally, I don't believe Kyler Murray is the best quarterback in this draft class. Still believe Dwayne Haskins is the best quarterback in this draft class. I just think that a lot of people are kind of keeping Dwayne Haskins like he's sorry, he's trash, and this and that because of throwing these check down passes at Ohio State or whatnot. Dude, Ohio State's offense is built on screens, built on slant, build on quick routes like that. You can't change the dynamic of that offense. And just because the wide receivers, some guys said because the wide receivers made a bunch of the plays for Dwayne Haskins, which is why he had all these stats. Listen, you have wide receivers on your team. What is your job to do? Throw your wide receivers the freaking ball. So how are you going to use wide receivers making plays against this guy? What you want this guy to do? Throw deep passes? Throw deep bombs? It's not too many quarterbacks in this draft class, so you can say you could draft ahead of Dwayne Haskins. I know doggone well nobody's finna draft no doggone freaking Drew Lock. Drew Lock, this guy literally plays, he snaps the ball, and he throws the ball wherever. He doesn't look, he doesn't do any reads, doesn't do any of that. This is Drew Lock. Throws the ball freaking anywhere. He's Josh Allen reincarnated. And the last time a team, a good comparison for Drew Lock? All these prototypical size quarterbacks with these big arms or whatnot that have a bunch of potential but need to sit for a little bit. You know the last quarterback that had that tag on him? It was Paxton freaking Lynch. And what did the Denver Broncos do? They took Paxton Lynch 20th overall in the NFL draft, and look what happened. Look what freaking happened. No surprise, he was a freaking bust. Here's my philosophy, right? If you're going to take a quarterback in the top 15, right, make sure that he's able to start day one. Because, look, it's no use of drafting a quarterback in the top 15 just for him to get a few years behind the bench. You're not drafting a top 15 guy for this guy to ride the bench for 2 to 3 years. You're drafting this guy for this guy to either be 1, immediate starter, or 2, freaking wait 1 year and then start. Prime example, Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City Chiefs traded up to take him. He sat 1 year. Alex Smith got traded away. Not too many quarterbacks that you would draft in the top 15 that you just, quote, expect to sit right away. Now, I don't know any team that's going to take a Drew Lock. I heard the Denver Broncos, but I heard a report John Elway said on some radio station that he's not quite sold on Drew Lock as a prospect, and I don't believe the Denver Broncos are going to go quarterback anyway. If I'm general manager John Elway, I'm passing on a quarterback this year in the first round at least, and I'm going to draft a quarterback next year's draft. Because here's what these teams are doing. These teams are going to flip out. Some teams going to be gullible. They're going to flip out because Kyler Murray is going to get taken off the board quickly. Dwayne Haskins is going to be that guy. He's going to be the second best quarterback, right? Some team is going to trade up with the New York Jets, or some team is going to do some trade in the top 10 to try to trade up for Dwayne Haskins instead of just being patient, focusing on other team needs instead of quarterback, instead of next year's quarterback class, right? The Miami Dolphins, not saying they are, haven't really heard a lot about them taking the quarterback, but people are saying that they need to, right? No, they don't. If the Miami Dolphins trade up for a quarterback, they're freaking retarded. You have other needs. It's specifically on that offensive line. You fill your other needs up first for this year's draft. You load up, you tank, and you get a top 5 pick, or you try to trade down in this year's draft, right? If the Miami Dolphins or a team trade down in this year's NFL draft, they potentially can have a 25th or somewhere in the 20 mid-round draft pick. That's still good enough to get a high quality interior offensive lineman, because there's not really a lot of offensive linemen that are that good. These offensive linemen are going to go like this. That's how many of them, because there's only 5 good offensive linemen, and they're going to go in the first round because all these other offensive linemen, other than them, are garbage. So you could trade down, build your team up, trade down, and get a first round draft pick for next year's draft. And then when you tank, you have 2 first round draft picks. So then if you don't get into the top 5 or you don't get into the top 3, you can use those 2 first round picks that you got from taking this season and from trading down in this year's draft, and go ahead and draft a Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert or whatever you want to do. You might not even have to do that. You might just have 2 first round picks, because even if you don't have Tua, you're still going to have Justin Herbert, you're still going to have Jake Fromm, you're still going to have Jacob Eason. It's going to be so many guys that you're not going to have to trade up. It's so many good quarterbacks in next year's draft class that you don't have to trade up and force a trade in this year's draft, when you can just wait for a quarterback to fall in the 15th. I'll be happy with a guy like a Jake Fromm or a Jacob Eason. And another guy in this year's draft that people are giving a lot of crap about is Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is not a bad quarterback. Daniel Jones played with a Duke team that had absolutely no good talent going against. Well, the ACC wasn't really that good this year, but Duke basically had 3 and 2-star wide receivers starting, an average offensive line with an average defense, and you're going to tell me Daniel Jones is freaking overrated with that terrible behind Duke team? This was the best Duke team in the last. Duke went to the ACC championship in 2013, so I think that's about 5 years, right? Take Daniel Jones off that Duke team, and how good would Duke have been? So if you can play with a trash team like Duke, I'm pretty sure you can play with any team in the NFL. And we saw what Daniel Jones did in the Senior Bowl. If you watch the Senior Bowl, Daniel Jones was the best quarterback on that field. All these quarterbacks, Drew Lock was pretty solid. But after Drew Lock, all these other quarterbacks came in and they started struggling to move the ball up and down the field. Daniel Jones came in the second half. As soon as he got the ball in the second half, his team scored. So Daniel Jones isn't a bad option. I wouldn't take him top 10, but he would be a safer option in the top 15. And it's not too many quarterbacks that you can name that played on not so good talent, not so good role players around them, that ended up being the bust. Alex Smith was pretty good. Dak Prescott was pretty good. So Daniel Jones, to me, will be a safe pick in the top 15. And I wouldn't be mad if a team drafted him. But Drew Lock in the top 15, oh freaking please. You might as well just go ahead and select my guy Tyree Jackson. I would take Tyree Jackson before I take a guy like Drew Lock. At least Tyree Jackson knows how to somewhat read the field. Drew Lock just drops back and he just throws the freaking ball. He struggled against Alabama. He struggled against Georgia. And yeah, you can say he might not have had the best talent, but come on, against Alabama, those were self-inflicted freaking wounds. This guy literally threw the ball straight to an Alabama cornerback, threw a straight bullet pass to an Alabama defender, right? So Kyler Murray overall, by the end of this live stream, overall, Kyler Murray can change this whole outcome on this draft. It's either a smoke screen to get a team. Maybe Arizona's looking to trade down or whatnot, or